Everyone, for those who are here in person, for those who are live streaming, and for those who are joining us from the island of Catalina. We will ask our legal counsel to take roll and establish a quorum.
Member Lopez,
Present.
Vice President Otto,
Here.
President Craighead,
Here.
Member Benitez, Member Miller.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. And Mr. Otto, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes.
The board has been meeting in closed session regarding the matters listed on today's agenda. The board took action on the following items. On item 3.1, the board voted 4-0 with member Benitez absent to approve a public employee appointment. I will ask Dr. Claudia Sosa Valderrama to provide details of the appointment.
Good evening, everybody. So I am happy to announce the promotion of Ms. Jessica McAfee. She was serving in a acting administrative assistant position for speech and language pathologist, so the promotion is for her to become the administrative assistant speech and language pathology. And she was coming prior to that from being a speech and language pathologist, so she will be in the Office of Special Education supporting our schools.
Thank you, and congratulations to her. On item 3.2, the board voted 4-0 with member Benitez absent to approve the resignation agreement of certificated employee number E002343994. On item 3.5, the board voted 4-0 with member Benitez absent to approve the settlement agreement in case number 22STCV04747, resolving all claims against the district. Also, the board voted 4-0 with member Benitez absent to approve the settlement agreement in case number 24 LBCV00440, resolving all claims against the district. And on item 3.6, the board voted 4-0 with member Benitez absent to approve the settlement agreement resolving all claims against the district in one anticipated litigation matter involving a student with special needs. Also, the board voted 4-0 with member Benitez absent to approve the filing of an amicus brief in the matter of Vasquez Perdomo versus Nome, case number 25-4312, 9th Circuit, and case number 25 CV 05605, Central District. And next we come to the adoption of the agenda. We need a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That passes 4-0. And now we come to a special time where we have the opportunity to seat a new student board member. So I'm going to ask our superintendent, Dr. Baker, to come to the podium, and also to join Chimnazam Aper, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, but Chimnazam Aper Nawala, and she comes to us from McBride High School. And I just want to mention that during the interview, I believe you mentioned that you are the president of the Black Literary Society, that you are not only the secretary of the chemistry club, but you chartered the chemistry club at McBride. And you are a member of ASB. In your spare time, you are a connoisseur of music. I remember that from our interview, and you enjoy reading. So welcome. We are so excited to have you as part of our group. And now, without further ado, we have a swearing-in ceremony.
This is the student board member oath. I, Tanazamaper Nwala, do solemnly swear
I, Chinazanat Wala, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I take this purpose freely without any mental reservation or purpose or evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
So come over.
And so, Mr. Miller, we're going to allow our new student board member to maybe acknowledge anybody special here in the audience. Maybe this would be an opportunity to, well, for us to welcome you, but I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to say. But the floor is yours.
I would love to take this time to appreciate my mom, who has been so has been so extremely supportive, taking me to every single event. She drove me to my interview, drove me here, and has been super patient with me despite my many hours getting ready. So I will always appreciate her. In addition, I do want to thank every single person who came out to support me. My principal is here, my vice principal, my former principal, and every member from my school who's here. I also particularly want to highlight Dr. Lovett and Dr. Alyssa Taylor, who have been nothing short of amazing in supporting me since, I want to say, my sophomore year of high school. So truly, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for applying and interviewing, and we welcome you. If you have any questions, anytime you want to join in, you let us know. But that is your role, and we embrace that. So welcome aboard. And now I will ask you to give your attention to the screens, because we have our vision in action. I believe it's Cabrillo and Stevens being highlighted.
So Cabrillo and Stevens have decided to collaborate and go on a joint community learning walk with our teachers. The theme for today's meeting is grounding our schools in community. There are so many different lived experiences among our students and staff that create our identities. And if we want to better understand our students, then that means we have to look outside the scope of just getting to know them in school. So what are some challenges? What are some adversity that they face outside of school? What are the spaces that make them feel safe? How can we take that back to our school sites? How can we make them feel at home? How can we increase their sense of belonging at our school? We feel that once our teachers understand those spaces, they'll be able to better connect their teaching to our students' realities.
Today, for a portion of our professional development, we also had a group of students be in a panel with a Q&A, and so we got to learn about their experiences, how we can better support them to transition from middle and high school, but also support them in the classrooms and really connect with them so that way they stay motivated and do well academically. The reason why this professional development is important is that we really want our staff to look at our community in a very asset-based lens. There's so many resources, so many skills that are untapped, and so we need to make sure that we work together to tap into those assets to really help our students thrive.
I think that's truly highlighting how our schools are part of the community and how we can work together. And it takes a village, after all. So it's more than just the teachers and staff inside a school. It's keeping our kids safe to and from school as well. Okay, next on the agenda, we have public testimony.
We have no members to speak on items on the agenda.
So no members for items on the agenda, and public testimony for items not listed on the agenda.
We have 9 members of the public wishing to speak.
Okay, thank you.
The first member is Dr. Kim Tabari.
Good evening, board members, Superintendent Baker, Deputy Superintendent Brown, and staff. I'm giving public comments about 2 things, the Vision 2035 and supporting a teacher. First, the Vision 2035 strategies and highlights shared in a recent report. For those listening, the purpose of this Vision 2035, which myself and others in this room were part of envisioning along with students, staff, teachers, etc., is to break barriers, ignite brilliance, and fulfill the promise of excellence and equity. I am curious about the highlights for strategies 3 and 4. Strategy 3 reads, dismantle systems of oppression by eliminating barriers to equitable access and outcomes. And the highlight is training district leadership in liberatory design and reimagining excellence and equity analysis protocol. I would love an update on that last part, reimagining excellence and equity analysis. Can someone please let me know where to find that? On strategy 4, elevate and center Black students and families, again, the highlight there was that we opened the Center for Black Excellence. I'm curious how this highlight elevates or engages Black families. I have said this before along with many other parents, that our current director, Norma, I forgot her last name, Spencer, does not meet with parents, which is why I don't even remember her name, as required by your example of liberatory designs, which, since there's no communication with Black parents and guardians in the district, how is she able to lead the district into this vision for 2035? An entire program was created in a vacuum for things the center may or may not facilitate every day of the week, Monday through Sunday, from 6 to 8. A set of workshops like college readiness and social emotional conversations developed without any input from students or parents. Does 6 o'clock even work for parents? Our last BSAI committee meeting, Black Student Achievement Advisory, was April 2025, a week before the symposium in May. We have not had a single meeting since then. Yet all the polished reports and AI written newsletters suggest family engagement is happening, and that is just not true. This is not the leadership that LBUSD is known for. We have worked for years with Dr. Brown, Dr. Baker, Dr. Simon, Claudia, David, all the folks here doing really excellent work that's being erased. In the words of Ida B. Wells, the way to right wrongs is to turn the light of truth upon them. Finally, I stand in support with the Black female teacher that will be speaking shortly, wearing her kifa in class as part of her religious right. I urge the district to discourage the request from intolerant parents that are currently harassing this teacher. To quote Dr. Abraham Kendi, one either allows racial inequities to persevere as a racist or confronts racial inequities as an anti-racist. There is no in-between safe space of not racist. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dawn Modkins.
Good evening. So my name's Dawn Modkins. I'm a mom of 2 young Black men who attended in the district. My oldest, who attended Buffum, Stanford, Milligan, the other Emerson, Bancroft, and Wilson. I myself am a Long Beachian, came through this district. My youngest, he is 6'6". He just turned 18. He's always been a big guy since he was a little one, a teddy bear giant like his dad. While at Emerson in the 3rd grade, we first experienced discrimination by the principal. After a parent complained that her son was offended when my son literally shook him off of him after having to complain to the teachers and school ground attendants that the little boy had constantly been climbing onto his body. The second time was at Bancroft when a substitute teacher made a remark to him as the kids were coming into the classroom about his height and his size, and made this really odd comment about how he must be familiar with jail. That was the whole thing. I think we complained about that here too, a couple of years ago. And I'm sharing this because our Black students, and from my own personal experience, are constantly being discriminated against, racially profiled, and never protected by this district, period. I am here in support of our community sister, a Black educator, Ms. Drenae Jones, who is being very publicly slandered and attacked. And under an intentional, what I personally believe, and what some in our community believes, because it's not only happening here, it is happening in other districts. I believe that this is an intentional political agenda, garnering efforts seeking to vilify anyone expressing their American First Amendment right to stand with the Palestinian people, to stand against a live and internationally illegal genocide, and to wear their keffiyehs. We are here in solidarity with Ms. Jones. We are here in support of Black student success. We are here in support of all Black educators, and we call on this district once again to ensure dignity, respect, safety, and success for Black people, Black workers, and for our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melissa Morgan.
Well, audience, this system was never built for us as Black people. It operates exactly as it was intended. And I stand by that with the number of meetings and conversations and opportunities to come and be part of this district and work to be, I don't know, a token, an engaged family member in the district. This isn't even what I wrote, but I remember a time in our equity leadership team meetings, which we haven't met for years, would love to, and we were sharing things that then this district had to send people to like Harvard or Yale to come back and present to us. This is what we learned at Harvard or Yale that we had been telling them from the beginning. It just blows my mind. This system wasn't built for us. I first came here to this school district to work with high school students to analyze the model of racism. These students were brilliant. They were brave. Congratulations to our student board member. This is an important role for you. And thank you for taking the time to be here. But these students were also very aware of injustice. Today, I'm a parent of a high school kid, a graduate from Long Beach as well, a founding member of the first high school Sankofa Parent Village. Please continue to fund that. I hope those funds were not frozen. There was supposed to be a commitment to center our kids through our equity leadership team. And the work that Dr. Alyssa Taylor Stewart has done does that. The work of this new director of the Black Center is not doing that. She's asking us after attempts, and also not being honest, asking for our feedback. She doesn't want the parent engagement. That makes me feel like a token, even if the leader might have the same color skin as me. My principal has been supportive of our work. The Sankofa groups need to be parent-led. If you change it, that shows the system is built exactly how it was designed. We've had listening sessions with our kids in the high school. They're saying the things that I heard 20 years ago with the high school kids here. They continue to hear the N-word every day, often by kids who are Latino, even by teachers. They're using the N-word. These kids are feeling overlooked. They're feeling dismissed. They do not feel connected to the schools. The adults are not including them. It's not equitable. I then worked with the Anti-Defamation League. Their mission was to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and secure fair treatment for all. I stand here wearing this keffiyeh as a representation of the solidarity between people who have been the have-nots, the most marginalized people. I had amazing Jewish women who taught me about equity and diversity. They were there in solidarity during the civil rights movement. I'm concerned about the anti-Blackness that continues to be normalized in our school district, even here in the district level and administrative offices. I've asked, how are the teachers doing? We have a teacher here who's saying she's not okay. We stand in solidarity with her. Parents, even Black parents, normalize anti-Blackness. We need you to step up, stand behind what we believe. I do believe that when Black people are free, we can all be free. And I hope you can show us that this system is different.
Thank you.
Jerlene Tatum.
Good evening. I'm calling this public comment follow-up and check-in. To begin, I would like to congratulate the new student board member. Congratulations. Always ask questions and never stop listening to the music. In June, I came and gave public comment and questioned why the Center for Black Student Excellence was not providing programming per the director of the center for the summer. Well, some programming happened, and I want to say thank you to Dr. Pam Lovett and Dr. Alyssa Taylor Stewart for making that happen, okay? Thank you for your time and your energy and your commitment, even when you did not have the support that you should have. Question: Does the director for the Black Center of Excellence, Miss Norma Spencer, have a job description yet? She has been on the payroll for about 13 months now. And I asked the question because if you heard Dr. Tabari, she listed out some of the challenges that we have been continuing to experience. Well, you can't hold anybody accountable if they don't have a job description, right? Now, something I came across, and Dr. Tabari spoke about it, about AI, newsletters and such. Well, I came across these wonderful AI-created flyers. The thing that I found very interesting about them, they did not have the LBUSD logo on that. Why is that? Is Black Student Excellent not valuable enough to put the LBUSD logo? Is your commitment waning to us? We get AI generated, not the beautiful faces of our Black children that walk across these campuses. Since the center is opened, feels like betrayal. And I heard this quote this morning. It said, "Symbolism without substance can feel like betrayal." Was the opening of the center merely symbolism? Are we going to have some substance? Is something going to happen to actually change and increase and improve the success of our students? If you're not going to be intentional, if you're not going to do it with integrity, just scrap it. Throw it or get rid of it, because it's insulting of what's happening right now. There's no trust. The momentum that was built coming out of 2020, you guys made a decision in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. It has come to a stop. Now, the women that are here today, we came for two reasons, to fight on two fronts, which is really sad. Do you have the idea of cognitive dissonance that we have to go through, that we are standing here in solidarity with a black female educator, yet complaining about another black female educator that is not delivering to our children? Do you understand the conflict that creates in us? Do your part. Make sure if it's about black student excellence, it's about black student excellence on all fronts, and black excellence when it comes to our educators as well.
Thank you.
Chris Steinhauser?
Good evening, board members, and congratulations to our newest board member, Dr. Baker, members of the staff and the audience. My name is Chris Steinhauser, and I'm the retired superintendent here of this great school system. I'm here to speak tonight on two topics, the bond program and the budget deficit. First, congratulations on another great start to a new academic year, and thank you to all of you for what you do each and every day to serve our young people and their families, especially in these challenging political times. I want to commend district staff and contractors for the job they are doing implementing the various bond projects. And since many of our current board members were not here when we went to the voters in 2016 to fund our new athletic facilities, I wanted to share with everyone the promise we made to our voters at that time. We told the voters that our new outdoor pools would be accessible to the public for their use in the summer. In fact, we had an outstanding program pre-COVID at Cabrillo High School in partnership with the City of Long Beach that provided free swim lessons to hundreds of individuals on the west side for 5 weeks each summer. As we build our new pools, please work with our city partners to ensure that we keep our promise to our voters. And last, I want to provide some institutional knowledge of how we survived the fiscal crisis caused by the Great Recession. First, we kept the reductions as far away from the classrooms as possible and started the reductions at the central offices, all offices and departments not at schools, because we knew that the number one indicator, according to John Hattie's research, to close achievement gaps is an effective teacher, and the second factor is what we call collective expertise, which means having an effective principal that supports teachers in their craft. Secondly, we delayed the implementation of textbook adoptions, professional development offerings, and utilized categorical program flexibility as much as possible. Third, we made a concerted effort to get input from as many people as possible. Fourth, we had no protected programs or departments. Everything was on the table. Fifth, we agreed that we would never spend one-time money on ongoing cost. Sixth, and most importantly, we implemented a program called Care for the Caregivers. This was a program that was developed by Mrs. Ruth Ashley and Dr. Baker to provide our department and school leaders the strategies they needed to support certificated and classified staff that were being affected by the reduction of staff decisions being made to balance the budget. I share this information with you at this time because only one of our current board members, Mrs. Craighead, was here 15 years ago when we had to go through this difficult process. I know that all of you care deeply about our young people and will make the difficult decisions ahead of you to protect the fiscal health and the excellent educational programs offered by our beloved school system. Thank you.
Thank you.
Eldrene Jones?
Greetings, school board members, Superintendent Baker, staff, community stakeholders, and our new student representative from McBride. My name is Eldrene Jones. I teach at Ernest McBride High School, and I'm here to continue his legacy by engaging in advocacy for myself and staff and students like me. As a woman of faith, my kufiya is a representation of heritage and spiritual connection. Yet wearing this simple piece of fabric in my classroom, it became grounds for a formal complaint during the 2024-2025 school year. LBUSD conducted a thorough investigation that lasted months and concluded on April 14th, 2025. The district's findings were clear. It is not a violation of law or policy to wear kufiya in the classroom. The investigation cleared me of all allegations, and yet the complaints have continued. During the June 4th LBUSD school board meeting, I was publicly slandered and targeted in an online harassment campaign. False allegations spread, reaching far beyond our community. My union has received hundreds of hostile messages from strangers as distant as New York demanding actions against me. At that June school board meeting, the community members promised that they would continue to escalate their campaign until I gave a public apology for existing as myself. These attacks aren't about policy violations, they are about who I am. The lies weaponized against me are rooted in an intersecting form of bigotry, anti-Blackness, and Islamophobia. They targeted not just my expression of faith, but my presence as a Black Muslim woman in the classroom. Have you any idea how it feels to have someone denigrate your culture because of prejudice? I am here today to ask what protections exist for staff when they are slandered during public comments? What consequences are there? And if there are no protections or consequences, how long will it take to put them into place? Every year since I started working in the district, I have received a complaint rooted in discrimination. When a sense of belonging and achievement disparities are constantly on our WASCO's list, what are we doing to create safe spaces for Black Muslim staff and students? Teaching is a calling and it's an act of service, and I am dedicated. I just want to know, what are we doing for people like me? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board members. I would like to continue where I left off during the last board meeting, as my time expired before I could finish. This is regarding the unsafe condition and ongoing Title IX violations surrounding the field that Jordan baseball program continues to use. It has now been a month since I first raised this concern, yet parents in the community still have not received any formal response from the superintendent's office or Jordan's administration. This lack of communication highlights what appears to be a systematic problem in how issues of this magnitude are addressed. The root of this problem is the removal of the baseball field that once sat on Jordan's campus. As a result, our student athletes are now forced to use a public park field, exposing them to unsafe conditions, inadequate access to facilities compared to those of their peers at other high schools. In the most recent example, on the very first day of school, an incident occurred in or around Jordan's campus, where a suspect was arrested for carrying a handgun. This is yet another clear example of the dangers many of Jordan's student athletes face while simply pursuing their dream of becoming a baseball player. Afterward, I reached out to Jordan's administration seeking reassurance and requesting a copy of the school's safety procedures, specifically regarding how baseball players are supervised and protected when leaving campus and traveling through Howland Park. Unfortunately, no real response was provided, only a standard diplomatic answer that does little to ensure the safety of our kids. At this point, we want answers now. More importantly, we need to see a clear plan and path forward that will restore Jordan's baseball field on campus. The Title IX violation is clear and apparent, and it directly relates to equal opportunity and access to athletic facilities based on gender. But we are here now and we are speaking up. We are asking for a clear, transparent plan for the short-term and long-term future of Jordan's baseball field, equity in facilities and support compared to other high schools in the district, a formal response and timeline for action. We will continue to show up and speak out until these issues are addressed. Silence and inaction are no longer acceptable. We are also formally requesting that this matter be added to the agenda for the next upcoming board meeting, as it deserves the time and transparency and thorough investigation required to finally provide the real answers and solutions. Lastly, I would like to thank Maria Lopez, District 1 board member, for reaching out and taking the time to hear our concerns, as well as for seeking accountability and answers from Dr. Baker and her team. Thank you for your time and your commitment to all students of Long Beach Unified School District.
Thank you.
Zanab.
evening, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to speak before you. I certainly want to congratulate the newest member. I'm so proud of her. I know that as a Black young woman, or any Black woman, it takes so much to be recognized and appreciated and seen and heard. And so for you to start now is amazing. I'm so very proud of you. You represent so much, and unfortunately, you have to carry the weight of all the Black people. That when people see you, they use that as the standard for everyone else, except when it's extremely positive. Whenever we do something extremely positive, somehow we're 1 in a million. Whenever we do something that anybody has an issue with, now all of a sudden we become the framework for everyone else who looks like us. I challenge all of you tonight. I know how difficult it must be to sit here and listen to people complain one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. But I challenge you to be the prototype for what it should be instead of what it is. Any school board meeting can probably be the same. You have people in the community who are complaining because they don't feel heard, they don't feel seen, especially in our classrooms where we're bringing young people into awareness of how do they become productive citizens. And I can tell you as a Black woman who was in public school in Long Beach that I hardly felt seen or heard. I was in the PACE program. I was a smart one, but I still did not feel seen or heard. I'm an educator now, and I decided not to be in public school. I'm a homeschool educator, and I take my job very seriously because it's very important to teach these children how to prepare themselves for the world that we live in, the world that they're going to inherit, that if people in your positions do not make some significant changes, 20 years later, they're going to be up here making the same points that we're making right now. The same points that I hear in this meeting right now are the same points that I heard when I was a student. It's ridiculous. You're in a position to create change. That's why you're elected. That's why people invest their time. All of us would probably rather be somewhere else, but we're here making petitions for you to change the same problems that we've been facing over and over and over again. If you're not in my situation, it may be difficult for you to understand what I go through on a daily basis, what my peers go through, what this teacher goes through. I empathize with her, and I'm not even in public school. But I see it everywhere we turn. Can you imagine? Everywhere you turn, someone has something to say. There's no complaint about this teacher being an excellent teacher. There's no complaint about how she treated the students. The complaint is about her existing and being who she is in her skin, in her faith, in her identity. That's where the problem lies. You have the power to change it. Please do something.
Thank you.
Our final speaker is Ricardo Ruiz.
Good evening, board members. My name is Ricardo Ruiz. I'd like to kind of pick up on the subject of the disregard of Jordan High School's baseball field. Again, Jovan touched on a subject matter. I'm sure we're all aware of the weapon that was retrieved from someone's person the other day while crossing paths with students during school hours at Long Beach Jordan High School's neighboring park, Houghton Park. We have acquired a distaste to want to practice or continue letting our kids practice at that field. The situation seems to be worsening and not getting any better. We have received some response from Joe Baker. I'd like to correct that on behalf of Jovan. We got a community activist, former alumni of Long Beach Jordan High School and of Lakewood High School, Chris Cacales. He's also involved and reached out to the Long Beach mission. Jeff Levine, who's also been attached along with an email going to the Long Beach Mayor, Rex. Again, we're not getting reply or answers fast enough. Tomorrow, we're waiting that we're not getting turned away. Is a scheduled meeting to do a walkthrough at Jordan's campus that has now been redirected to address on Webster Avenue. I will be in attendance of that meeting myself, along with Chris Cacales. We need answers ASAP as to what the total plan is of the disregarded field at Jordan High School, because apparently if you guys take a stroll down Myrtle Avenue southbound, on your right-hand side, you'll see that there's still a foul pole there with a bunch of bungalows that, in my opinion, if they were a necessity, then why have my son cross campus to every single one of his other classes? And I'm all for the keeping up the par with the athleticism and staying in shape, but it takes a toll on an athlete's body. There needs to be better coordination on the part of the school with the classes that are getting handed to them. I think there's no more to be said other than we need some rapid answers along with the mayor. We're challenging the mayor on this one. I don't think we heard back from Mayor Richardson on this. So if it's a city matter or a LBUSD matter, we need to hear from one or the other. This is a month already in. We tried to reach out before this campus opened back for use. And as you guys can see, the situation has worsened. It's worsened. So there's no disregarding this matter anymore. We're gonna keep coming back every other week when these meetings are held. We expect to be heard and acknowledged, not just heard. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you to all of our speakers tonight. Next on the agenda, we have reports on superintendent advisory groups, and we will start with the business budget and policy development. And in Dr. Benitez's absence, I will report that there is no report. We finished up our bylaws at the last meeting, and we are we're going to be going through a training on basically a policy diet. We're going to be working with our coach from Council of Great City Schools in working on a policy review. So more information to come on that. Next on the agenda is the instruction and student learning supports. Member Lopez.
Yes, we don't have a report tonight, but we will have an update on where the district is with the English Learner Master Plan in the next meeting.
Thank you. And then next we have workforce development. Member Miller.
Yes, we do have a report today. My report is focused on our teacher induction programs. So this past year, we expanded the support beyond the teacher induction program to include administrators at both the preliminary and clear credential levels in the following high-quality programs. First, we have the teacher induction, which during the 24-25 school year, we had 87 TK through 12 teachers earned their clear credential grounded in California standards for the teaching professionals. For the teaching professionals. So it's the acronym is CSTP. For the preliminary administrative services credential, during the first year, which was the 24-25 school year, we had 28 leaders that earned the preliminary administrative credential. Their growth was supported through coaching and field experience, leadership courses, etc. This year, we have 21 teachers in this program. And last but not least, we have the Clear Administrative Services Credential Induction. This school year, we have 16 new administrators that are in this 2-year program, which provides, once again, coaching, professional development, and deepens their leadership skills to provide support with clear administrative credentials. Obviously, I've spoke to this numerous of times about how important it is for our system to continue to keep our fantastic team intact while providing continued support for upward mobility. And so I'm always very, very happy to speak to some of these programs. And I thought that this was a very important highlight to share today.
I agree. Thank you. And next we go to our consent calendar. We'll need a motion for this.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I am. So on item 14.1, we have the approval of minutes for May 19th, and we continue to receive minutes from meetings held several months ago. The minutes for the May 19th meeting are up for approval, and I've raised the concern that we keep getting them months later, and I don't think that that's acceptable. And just can someone clarify or confirm whether there's a timeline in place to bring us up to date with board minutes?
Yes, we're working as diligently as we can to get updated. As you know, we've had some transitions in our superintendent's office related to the board secretary support. So there is going to be a process of catching up now that we've had some vacancy for some period of time in that. So we do realize that that's a priority and we're working on that. We're also going to be providing to the board a memo related to the legal requirements for minutes as well as the best practices for minutes, so that we can start to look and reevaluate and have the board weigh in on what those minutes should in fact look like going forward.
So do you anticipate we will catch up by next month, October?
I don't think by next month, but we certainly will be working as diligently as we can to catch up as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Also, on item number 38, if someone could provide clarification regarding the proposed increased contract amount by $22,138,961.75 from the $94,240,358.13 with CV Driver for the construction services of Jordan High School. And then there's 3 phases, and we've had a public comment in the last couple of meetings, and I want to know if any of these phases include the baseball field.
Driver increase, and it's specific to phase 6, which is the demolition of the old gym and construction of the new gym and aquatic center. So, but we do make reference in the memo to phases 5A and B. 5A, which you know is the track and field and the stadium that is currently in closeout, and then 5B, which will actually be the final phase where we will be doing new softball field and soccer field and visitor bleachers and the like. So that's the majority of the work in that phase. In this contract, we do not have the Jordan baseball field as part of this contract because that will be a separate effort that we're currently looking at.
But we are looking to have the baseball field back at Jordan.
We are exploring our options right now in terms of how we can provide that specific to Jordan, yes.
Okay, would there be also a timeline in getting information on that?
Yeah, I can provide more information probably in the next board meeting.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the consent calendar?
Yes, my comments are more in a congratulatory fashion, and it's centered around the new members for our CAC. And so I just wanted to, first off, thank that group of 25 folks who submitted applications. That group not necessarily is important for our district. In all honesty, it's really important to our parents. I will share a small anecdote. I can remember when I first got the diagnosis about my daughter's disability. And I can remember sharing with Jill about how lonely I felt. I know that she wasn't the first person in the world to ever be diagnosed with autism, but in the beginning of my parenting journey, I felt lonely. I didn't feel like I had folks who could empathize with the things that I was dealing with in regards of navigation of the district, of navigation of being a new parent, etc. And so it was your suggestion to be a part of the CAC. That was an important group to me, and I've been pretty diligent, maybe not so much over the past few months, but all things considered, it gave me a community, a group of folks that not only shared personal anecdotes about their child's success, but the district was great about providing tools about ways that you can continue to support your child through this process. And so for this group of folks that have signed up to be a part of the CAC, I just wanted to personally thank you because I think about parents like myself that are going to be looking for folks like you to be a part of their village and to provide some of those personal anecdotes while also advocating for their young people. So thank you.
Thank you, and I'm glad you mentioned that. That was also in my notes to mention because I appreciate having a resource for our parents, but also our staff, our we always have numerous staff members available at that meeting as a resource for the parents. It's also a place where we celebrate the differences with our kids. I know that at one of the meetings in the spring, I think it was called Student Voices, and we heard from different students at different age levels, and then there was a dance performance, by a student group, and it was lovely. It was just wonderful. So it's not just a place where parents can go when they have a student with an IEP or special needs. It's not just a place where you can go for resources, but it's also a place where you can celebrate your child. And for that reason, I appreciate that also. And that people step up to say, I'm going to be a part of this and take leadership roles.
Absolutely. You talked about some of the district staff that were present. One of the folks that is on today's agenda, Mr. Sam Rath. That's my buddy, man. I've known him at least 30 years. So, yeah, we're old, but all things considered, thank him for his support.
Don't say you're old. No. So any further discussion on the consent calendar? In which case I will ask our legal counsel to take a roll call vote.
Member Lopez.
Aye.
Member Otto. President Craighead.
Aye.
Member Benitez. Member Miller.
Aye.
And Board Member Nwala.
Aye.
It passes.
Thank you. And next on our agenda is the staff report, so I'll hand it over to Dr. Baker.
Thank you, President Craighead. So tonight we want to celebrate many different facets of the opening of this school year. So we're going to take a moment. Each member of our team has something that we want to highlight for the board. Our communications team is also going to share many of the resources that are available on our website related to what we're sharing. So I get to kick off tonight. I want to celebrate our school's attention to being in and with community, and I loved seeing Stevens and Cabrillo's teamwork, getting out into the community for a community walk to experience the beauty of West Long Beach, to connect with families and business owners, and to really establish greater connectivity for their staff and the way that they celebrated students. That was true also. Holmes Elementary made connections to the system portrait and did some studying, some mapping of what is available to them and the community, and made greater connections. Chavez Elementary held a community resource fair, bringing people in to connect with community members, and just wonderful ways for our schools to expand their relationships with those who are around them. And then also love to celebrate our communications team and what they orchestrated for the celebration of the opening of school year. If they will call up the first day media coverage, we had tremendous coverage. Appreciate board members for being there to celebrate with us, but any community member who's interested should look at the first day media coverage page, which includes video footage, beautiful images of our students, the Board of Education, council members from Lakewood, and the unveiling of a new pool, which we got to see students swimming in on the first day of school. So thank you, communications team, for all you did to help us to celebrate our students and actually to see a new aquatic center in action. And I will pass to Ms. Takahashi.
Sure, thank you. So on the business side, when we think about a successful school opening, we think about creating and supporting the conditions for our teachers to teach and for students to thrive in our system. For the operations team and all the operations staff at our sites, we've engaged in top to bottom deep cleaning of every site. That's about 7 million square feet of building space that was addressed during the summer in preparation for the new school year. It means for the transportation department, routing of 2,300 students so they can arrive on their buses and to engage in learning at their sites. For the warehouse, they delivered all the materials, all the instructional materials to our school sites, including 54,000 textbooks in the month of August alone. And for our nutrition services branch, that supported all of our summer programming, so provided meals all summer. And for one program that ended virtually the day before school started, they're prepared to serve about 40,000 meals the next day for the first day of school. So those are just a few examples of all the prep work that's gone into the start of school year. We also note the completion of significant facilities athletic projects, some of which have been noted: the new Jordan Stadium, Lakewood and Wilson Aquatic Centers, the Hamilton Gymnasium, and Hamilton is celebrating its 100th year, so this will create a wonderful venue for that celebration. And 3 schools that have come to the end of their modernization, that being Tincher, Gant, and Stanford. So in all, we're just appreciative of all the people that have worked behind the scenes to make this a really successful launch of the school year.
I will continue with some celebrations and highlights, and I would like to lift up our Summer Enrollment Center. 5 ladies in particular: Rosa, Magnolia, Anna, Julia, and Blanca, who worked really, really hard to enroll 603 families over the summer so that their students were ready to go on the first day and already in the queue at the sites. Also want to lift up our culture climate leadership teams. So we had 5 representatives from each site that came together to do professional development and really start the year off in a positive way. And so we're excited about that ongoing training, all of the opening meetings, visiting each one of our sites that our elementary team participated in, welcoming back all of our staff and students, and with that theme of being in and with community. In addition to Chavez, I want to also lift up Webster and Herrera, who also did community events to really be in and with community.
Hi, good evening. Want to continue with David's trend about enrollment and really highlight some of the work of our student information systems team and their work to support schools in bolstering enrollment and student attendance at start of school this year. I have some numbers for you. District enrollment as of noon today is 61,852 students. And what's significant about that number is that most schools have already run their withdrawal processes for any students that haven't shown up in the first 5 days of school. And so while this number may continue to dip just slightly over the next couple of days, it does appear that right now our enrollment is a little bit ahead of the projections for the year. That's a great news story. And the other highlight is our student attendance. And so our student attendance rate for the first 5 days of school was 95.6%. And if anyone wants to venture a guess and earn bonus points, does anybody know what the largest class or grade level is in Long Beach Unified?
12th graders.
Brian's saying 9th, 12th. It's actually 10th grade. It's actually 10th grade. Class of 2028 right now is our largest group by about 5 or 10 students over the 9th graders. And the last highlight is really the outreach that our schools have made to families to really welcome kids back to school. So our attendance clerks, school-based staff have made over 1,000 outreach efforts to students just to make sure that we're following up on students that haven't shown up, that we welcome them back to school, that we make sure that they have all their information complete for the registration process. So a lot of outreach has been happening on behalf of the schools. So we're off to a great start and hope to keep the momentum up.
Good evening. I usually do most of my talking in closed session, so I'm privileged to be able to speak to you tonight on behalf of Dr. Ann and the great work that HRS team has done to onboard some new teachers. So they operated a 3-day new teacher onboarding session, which welcomed 109 teachers to Long Beach Unified. The teachers engaged in learning about Vision 2035, the new classroom practices from our curriculum leaders, as well as the new hiring content, that important stuff about salary and benefits, et cetera. In addition, Long Beach Teacher Residency Program welcomed 18 residents who are earning their multiple subject credentials, along with either an educational specialist credential or a bilingual authorization. I think there's some pictures up there that show some of that process. So it's a great start from HRS's perspective.
Good evening.
To share a few highlights from secondary, first of all, the first days of school was filled with so much energy, so much excitement, so much joy. You can feel a sense of community in our secondary schools and our TK8 schools. But it actually started before the first day of school, before August 26th. We had on our middle school and K8 campuses, our web leaders who kicked things off by welcoming sixth graders to their campus. And they really celebrated the students as they walked onto campus, cheering them on, leading them in team building activities, and providing them with a tour of the campus and also some opportunities to meet some teachers so that they could feel comfortable when that first day did arrive. And many of our students who are in sixth grade have an eighth grade colleague, if you will, who they can look up to, who they can reach out to with questions and support. And at our high school campuses, we have that similar model. It's called Link Crew, and it's the same format, just on a bigger scale, where our high schools welcome our freshmen onto campus. And when you look at some of the welcoming lines that they have, it's humongous, because you have hundreds of kids celebrating our freshmen. The band is out there, the cheerleaders are there, and it's really a celebratory atmosphere that really allows our students to feel as though they belong to that campus. And when they connect with these upperclassmen, they actually leave the day feeling that this is my school. And so we really are so excited about those opportunities, because it provides that opportunity for our students to transition, because it is a difficult transition to go from elementary to middle or from middle to high. But to know that you have some upperclassmen there who are there to support you, to answer any questions, to be that friend, they have someone that they can reach out to, and it makes them feel safe. It makes them feel like they belong, and they also feel proud after they walk out. And so we're so excited about that. That happened at all of our schools. But then also, I have to acknowledge our staff. We have our administrators, our teachers, our classified staff, who, as Jack mentioned, reached out to families, made calls, made home visits to help families know that the campus was going to be safe. And we even had a family report to an administrator that I am so glad that school is going to start, because that's where I believe my child will be safe. And on the first day of school, on many of our campuses, our staff members were out front, greeting kids, greeting families, and providing that presence so that they felt that that campus was in fact safe. And so we're really proud of them. They not only were there to greet kids, they allow kids to feel valued. There were some kids I observed at one particular campus who were standing alone, and staff members would actually go to them, introduce themselves, welcome them to the campus, and you could see that their faces would change because someone actually saw me. And so our staff members have done an excellent job in this first week of making our students feel like they belong, and of course, providing some safe, inclusive campuses. So we're really excited about how we've kicked off the year at our secondary and middle school and TK8 level.
I'd like to report that instructional best practices are alive and well in Long Beach. All of the professional development that has taken place over the last year and also throughout the summer is definitely evident. When you walk in and out of classrooms, you see continuity of practices. You see from kindergarten all the way to middle and our high schools, that our teachers are really engaging in trying to ensure that our students are engaged, that they are receiving high levels of instruction that allows them to be critical thinkers and problem solvers. Specifically, I would like to call out mathematics at this time. We really have had a change in the way in which we are engaging our students in math, and you see that evident in some of the practices that are already starting. If you were to walk into a classroom on the second day of school, you wouldn't really recognize that it was the second day, because kids are on the floor doing their counting collections, they're up on the board doing their vertical whiteboards, they're having conversations about error analysis. So these things would not happen without the consistent professional development that is provided to our teachers. But the key piece is not just having the development, but that also that they are applying it and is supporting our students. And so from the north to the south, to the east to the west, you see the same practices of creating those highlighting environments. So go staff, go teachers.
All right, keeping the opening of school year love going. Often when we think about opening of school year, we're thinking about TK-12 from the first bell to the end of the day. I'm gonna take us a slightly different direction. So we have over almost 2,000 students ages birth, little babies, to 4-year-olds in our child development centers, our early Head Start and Head Start. I had the great privilege of being at a couple of professional learning opportunities with the CDC staff and Head Start staff under the guidance of Dr. Jackie Williams and Maria Harris, just doing really great work. Also really exciting, we have over 12,000 students who participate in our free after-school programs, so our Expanded Learning Opportunities program. So when we think about a school district of 61,000, 12,000 of them stay until about 6 o'clock, so that beyond the day. And then really excited, this just last week, 18 of our schools through the ELOP program opened up free before school care. So particularly at our 9 o'clock start schools, where families often struggle with trying to figure out what to do with their children. They have to go to work at 7:30 or 8. What do you do with their children before school? So 18 of our schools opened up free before school programs. We've got 2 more coming in October. And actually at our next board meeting, we'll have a presentation from our ELOP team that will share some updates about what we've been up to.
All right, and I'll continue with highlighting some of the school support services. So we had a successful launch of a new program, the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative. And last year, you might remember that you approved a capacity building grant to help us prepare for that. So this year, we are starting with providing increased mental health services and training our staff. Mr. Zaid talked about our CCLTs, and that included providing some professional development for our school staff. And CCLT stands for Culture Climate Leadership Teams, and getting ready for that. One of the things that parents might see as they are doing their annual verification for their students, you might see a request for your insurance. And that is something new, and that is directly linked to this CYBHI program. And so that will help us collect funds, some reimbursements from private insurances as well as Medi-Cal, and that will help us continue providing these services. So you can find more information about CYBHI on our website, and I did write that down. It's www.lbschools.net/departments/SWBH/CYBHI, and there is information, some frequently asked questions, and other information you might want to know. Thank you.
I'll close out the opening of school celebrations just with an expression of gratitude for our community and our community partners. You've heard a lot from colleagues about the internal operations that it takes to begin the school year, but I want to really acknowledge on behalf of all of us that that could not happen without the tremendous outpouring of reach into our community from community partners that look like bringing people together, providing supportive services, being present and vigilant in the opening of school, providing supplies and opportunities for students to return feeling prepared. And also the belief that comes from almost 62,000 students arriving to us after a very tumultuous summer where there was a lot of fear and concern in the community. So that does not happen without the presencing of people who are out welcoming students and bringing them into our space from the community. So I just want to acknowledge and recognize that effort with tremendous gratitude and a hope that more do come, and that the experience of the children who are with us every day is one that nourishes who they are and allows them to grow into who they are destined to be. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. I think we should give you a round of applause. What do you think, everybody? I think a celebration like this for the beginning of school really gives us an idea of the scope of work and the just the amount of staff and everything and the time and resources it takes to get a new school year off the ground. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to our school staffs, our teachers, teacher aides, custodians, administrators, everybody. I know that when we visit schools, it's always an uplifting experience, and it's always a thrill when you walk into a class with a brand new teacher. I know for me at this age, when I walked into, first day of school, walking into a classroom where it's a very young teacher, and I'm thinking, is that just because the older I get, the younger everybody else looks? Or, it turns out brand new teacher, so I was kind of relieved about that. But it's a huge lift, and thank you everyone for doing such a great job with that. But we will go on to the next item on the agenda. And that is new business, and we will start with item 16.1, our board policy 5131.8, reclaiming attention, limiting distraction, and supporting wellness. And this is an item that we had a very comprehensive report on at the last board meeting. And so we should be very familiar with this, and it's come before us tonight for a vote. So we need a motion.
Move for
to
approval. I'll second. How's that?
Okay, and discussion.
I do have a question. Just how will the policy on the student phone use, cyberbullying, and social media be communicated to our students, our parents, and to our staff?
Always strange to be on this side of the room, but glad to be here with you. Yeah, so we are, as of, if the policy is approved tonight, we will start launching our comprehensive communication campaign, which will be multifaceted content focused on directly to students, directly to parents, and directly to staff, with custom presentations, social media, school messenger, flyer campaign, our town hall events that we're still currently working on, and just a plethora of ways that we can continue to get the word out. We've already started piloting some messaging to students. I've been going out to the SSI courses at Cabrillo, and I'm blanking right now where the other one is. What's the other school? Jordan, and then thank you. And then we're going to Lakewood tomorrow to start just sharing with students, talking about their relationship with their phones, kind of showing them the basics of the policy, and then even getting their feedback on how do we talk to your peers and how do we communicate how this isn't about punishment or prohibition, but it's really about supporting your learning and keeping you safe.
And it'll go into effect, my recollection, in January. Is that correct?
Yes, so officially district-wide, January 26th at the second semester. However, there's nothing in the policy that is prohibitive that a school couldn't do right now. And so we have, our targeted 6 or so middle schools that have been in implementation since last year. And then Jordan and Cabrillo both decided to be our pilot schools for comprehensive high schools. And so we met with their Jordan's administrative team and helped walk them through how to communicate with their staff. And with Cabrillo, we actually had the opportunity to go to their first day with teachers and actually present to their entire staff and walk through some things to get started. And then our massive guidance document, which is not quite done, but will be done by Friday. It's going to happen, is going to go out through the level offices and be provided to sites. And it has everything from supports for teachers to administrators to mental health providers to counselors, stuff to send home to families, and massive index of resources. I mean, it's going to be a very, very comprehensive living document that we'll continue to build off of. And a really cool highlight right now, we've already had multiple teachers who are early adapters who provided resources of what worked in their classes. We provided those in headings of this is coming from your peers. I picked up some more today or yesterday at Cabrillo as well, some teachers that shared some really cool stuff to engage parents and also engage their kids.
Thank you. Member Nawala, one of the benefits of having a student board member is getting the student perspective. And I'm wondering if maybe at McBride you've had some kind of experience either with discussing the cell phone policy, or maybe you have an observation of how cell phones might be a distraction in classrooms. Is there anything you'd like to share? I don't want to put you on the spot, but I just thought this is such a good opportunity because this policy directly, and you can tell me you're not ready to discuss it, you have that right, but this policy will directly affect you and your peers. And so I'm wondering if there's anything from your experience you'd like to share.
Absolutely. Actually, today we had an expectation meeting for the seniors of our school where our administration walked us through why this is being done. And I think majority of my classmates understood and were, quite frankly, receptive to the fact that this was a necessary thing to be done. So I think it's necessary and definitely well received when explained to students.
Well, thank you for that. I think we've all been aware of the effects of screen time, and I think the pendulum is swinging in the other direction, where we are truly understanding the impact that it has, not just on our youth, but really on all of us. Member Miller.
Yeah, so first off, I wanted to congratulate you. I know you've put a lot of work in this, man, a lot of elbow grease, so congratulations to you and the team for putting together this fabulous plan on really how we reclaim attention. I thought that was a great title. All things considered, one of the things that I brought up when you first did the presentation, and I'll bring it up again, is that I really believe that the marketing on how we go about sharing this information is going to be the most important piece, right? How do we get the buy-in? And so I think that it's important that we have proper branding, we have proper students program support, parent support, as we continue to try and push for not removing cell phones. Heck, I'd be a hypocrite as I got mine sitting right next to me. But it's really about reclaiming the attention of our students that will potentially help improve their focus in the classrooms, which will have just a residual effect in so many places. So all things considered, man, congratulations. And I look forward to seeing that impact on not only all the campus throughout my district or the district, but seeing how it impacts, you already talked about one of the schools in Cabrillo. So thanks again.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Member Otto.
Yeah, the best thing about this policy, I think, is how we went about doing it. That I can remember more than a year ago being bombarded by parents and everybody else saying, we've got to do something about this. And I know I brought that to the attention of senior management. And what I've learned in the interim is that what it took was the careful, thoughtful rolling out of what it was, the consultation with people on each of the campuses and knowing the literature and coming to the conclusion of this policy. And then we're now at the point of selling it to everybody. Right? Sell is probably not the right word, but the timing of it is, I think, been just perfect, because the comments I'm now getting in my district and in areas of the district that I'm in are, okay, we see what you're doing, we kind of understand it. Let me call my friend and tell him about it. And so I think that the timing of it and the thoughtfulness of it, the sophistication of it, are a good starting point for moving forward with this very, very important policy, because it was really a problem in the district, not just cell phones, but people not regarding one another because they had alternatives. And so I'm very, very proud of the policy. I think that we're doing a good job. I'm going to watch it very carefully.
And if I may, you mentioned maybe, selling it to others, but I prefer something that you said, Mr. Itzen, about educating our way through this process. And that's what we do. This is an educational system, and so we educate our way through the process. And it's for that reason I know that it will be successful. Any further discussion? In that case, I'll ask our legal counsel to take a roll call vote.
Member Lopez.
Aye.
Vice President Otto.
Aye?
President Craighead.
Aye.
Member Miller.
Aye.
And Board Member Nwala.
Aye.
Passes 4-0 with a preferential vote.
Thank you, everyone. Yes. And next on our agenda, item 16.2, student outcome-focused governance implementation. So you may notice we don't have a monitoring report on this agenda, but that's because at our last meeting, the board requested to have more lead time to go over the monitoring reports. We requested it, maybe 2 weeks prior to the board meeting. So this more generous timeline would afford the board more time to digest and process the reports and formulate our questions. So in honor of this request, the staff will provide us with the monitoring reports 2 weeks prior to their appearance on the agenda. And as part of the process, we as board members will provide the staff with questions in sufficient time to be answered and posted online prior to the board meeting. Now, questions can be submitted right up until the board meeting, and we also may ask questions during the board meeting, but that will come with the understanding that those answers may not be available until a later date, because we have to allow staff the opportunity to get the information for us. So we've asked staff to provide monitoring reports 2 weeks in advance of when we will be discussing them, and then our responsibility is to get the questions to staff in time for them to be answered. Earlier today in closed session, we were given packets. We were given envelopes containing the monitoring reports that we will be discussing at the next meeting. And this is our new process. This is something that's been outlined in the student outcome focused manual or tool, if you will, and you'll find it on the timeline. It was mentioned in the month of June under Unity and Trust. And also one of the things that I wanted to mention was part of our coaching with the Council of Great City Schools is that we are monitoring data by month, and that goes according to the monitoring calendar, and not necessarily by each meeting. I think in a perfect world, we would have a monitoring report for every meeting, but it's not a perfect world. And honestly, with the amount of work it takes, the timing of when these, assessments are, when data is available, and reports can be made, we just have to go with the understanding that we will be monitoring by month. It can be done by meeting sometimes, but not all the time. And so, let's see, I have dates for us. So for the monitoring reports we received today, we should have our questions submitted by 5 p.m. on September 8th in order to have those published and posted online by September 12th when the information with the agenda becomes public. Other than that, if we wait, then we may not have an answer to our question. So as long as we go into the meeting with that understanding, I think that will be clear. And then just as a reminder to my colleagues, I encourage you, when you do take a look at the monitoring report, to keep in mind the 4 components of a monitoring report, that each report clearly states the goal or interim goal or guardrail, that it shows the data in relation to the set targets, that it indicates clear interpretation, including root causes for the data, and also that it provides evidence and a plan for a strategic response and needed next steps. And also, I'm going to encourage us to ask effective monitoring questions that are strategic in nature, that we strive to understand how something aligns with the priorities, and that strategic questions address what's working and what's not working, and what we can learn from it. And so there is an effort on our part, or actually aspiration on our part, to be effective, to effectively monitor the data as part of the student outcome focused governance. That's a huge part. So big part, set the goals, we've got that. And now the next biggest part is monitoring the data. I remember when we first started this work with AJ, and he said that the hard part will be the monitoring. And at the time, I did not understand that. I did not appreciate what he meant by that. But going through this process, going on the monitoring journey with staff, seeing what it takes to provide us with this data has given me a much better appreciation for what AJ said about the monitoring is the tough part, because it's not a one and done. This is something we are going to do every month, and we have so many demands on staff, and so we have to step up to the plate, and we have to make sure that we're meeting those demands, and that if we are asking our staff to uphold certain priorities, that we have to do that as well. Yes.
President Craighead, I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
So this new process, which was voted by the board, the questions are submitted, and then we are assuming that everyone has access to technology and is literate and can navigate the district website. And from my recollection, it's not going to include who asked the questions, the questions, but there's going to be a response. Now, will these questions be read here in public during our board meetings, the questions and the answers? Because if my recollection as well, I asked, well, what if I have another question at the board meeting? And I think you've just clarified that we can ask, but what I think very important is keeping in mind that not everyone has access to technology at home. Not everyone is literate, at least not in my community and some of our communities. And so will these questions be read in public and provided with the answer here?
That's something we can take a look at. I don't think that would be out of the question. I think that's something that can be done. We are still meeting weekly with the timeline implementation team, and I will bring that forward to that team and see how we can incorporate that. So I will need to get back to you with an answer, but I will be taking your request forward.
And then another question, this timeline, we keep approving timelines. They keep constantly getting updated. So do we anticipate any revisions to the timeline that's presented tonight?
Most likely, yes, because the work is being done. We are doing the work. The timeline was the best estimate of when we would be able to complete the work, and in some cases, that hasn't been possible. So the timeline lays out a plan So sometimes if we're not able to complete something, let's say we had intended to complete the bylaw process by July, we weren't able to do that, that went into August. It doesn't mean that we didn't do the work, it just means that it didn't happen according to the timeline that was set. But what we need to do is look at the timeline as kind of a living document, something that's going to be constantly changing. And so our responsibility is to make sure that we're going forward, that we're doing the work, and then it's up to our coach, and right now that's Greg from the Council of Great City Schools, to update that timeline on our webpage. So if anybody has a concern, they can check, on the webpage. A lot of times there's a column on the far right that'll say on track. So even if it hasn't been completed, it's something that we're working on. Right now, we have a number of things that we're working on that can't be completed until October because that's when we have our next workshop. And so we'll be working on things like training for basing the superintendent evaluation on student outcome-focused governance, talking about a policy diet, and I'm not sure what else is going to be part of that workshop. I think there were like 3 or 4 things. But the important thing is that we're doing the work, and the timeline will be updated online by our coach. But we have it included on the agenda so that we can refer to it and be transparent as far as what our aspirations are. So we aspire to do this work. It may not be completed in the month where it's laid out, but in many cases we're starting that work in the month that is indicated in the timeline. Are there any further questions or comments, discussion? Okay. Let's see. Also, with the community engagement script, we also talked about that last time. Member Miller, did you
We
have
did.
something?
Want me to provide a little bit of
I do.
background context? Okay, great. For the millions of viewers that watch our YouTube here, the district is obviously working on improving its community engagement efforts. Thus, in part with the board, we are developing a standardized script that will be brought to each part of the district. We're talking about all 5, that not only is in alignment with our student outcome focused governance data, but it is also going to be, let's say, explained in a way that one district is not getting different information than another district. Now, obviously, over time, the information evolves. So as you can see from the script that I've developed, that there are opportunities to retweak the language with each district that receives the presentation. But all things considered, what was important to us when we had our first discussion was making sure that we had standardized language, a standardized presentation that all districts will receive in structure. And so that's what this script was based on in regards to the information that we wanted as a team in regards to a opportunity for the public to have an unrestricted time to speak with their board representative in regards to providing an update on our SOFG data, in regards to giving people a background on how we ended up working with a student outcome focused governance model. And this is really the first draft in that type of language.
Okay.
Just a quick comment, given that it's a draft, because it is very structured and we will be engaging with the community. So if we can just keep in mind that the format, it'd be good to have more of a community focused and conversational to better engage our community and foster open dialogue.
I think well, have we timed the script? How long it would take somebody to, have we timed it yet?
It is awfully long, especially that introduction component, right? Where we're explaining what our student outcome focused governance model is and how we got to this process. So that portion, I read it, and I've read it out loud. The first time it took me about 3.5, 4 minutes to get through. And I'll be honest with you, the part that I've always felt uncomfortable with when it comes to community engagement components is not creating a space for people to have a back and forth. And so that first, like, let's call it almost preface statement doesn't necessarily provide that. And right now with the structure that I provided, the first opportunity that we'd get to hear from community really doesn't happen till the back end. So a part of me would love to hear you all's input on where we can design opportunities for community to give their input, maybe on the front end, not necessarily the, let's call it the conversational component. But once again, I'll open it up because I think that, like I said, I think that there's some opportunities for growth. But once again, this was the very first draft, and so I want you all's input.
Yeah, I just, when I read it, I felt that if folks were to come to these meetings, they'd feel they were in a board meeting. It was like super structured, and I think that just engaging the community and really, having a different format, less formal, I think would be better. If the ultimate goal is to get community input and in the way it's structured right now, it feels as though, I was reading and I'm like, well, this is another version of our board meeting. And so, keeping that in mind, hopefully that can change and to have more of an open dialogue.
Well, I think what helped me think about the script being long, because it's long, was that it's a 90-minute meeting. And so we are providing for a listening time. And so I feel like if we dedicate the first, let's just say 5, if we, I don't know, read it a little bit quick, not as quick as you read it out loud, but take our time with it. Let's just say 5 minutes. That's still a lot of time to hear from our communities. So we don't have too much longer to revise this because our first one is scheduled for October. So I would suggest that because Member Miller is working on the script, that if we have any revisions or suggestions, that kind of thing, that we submit that information to him so that that can be considered, and otherwise we're going to go forward with what we have.
Correct. And to be clear, this is that moment. So, all due respect, I appreciate your input, Member Lopez, and this is the opportunity for us to literally, as a working team, restructure what I've suggested. And so, though I appreciate the values that you bring up in regards to the lack of opportunity for community members to speak and having a more, let's call it open, I guess, and not so, because I'm with you. It does feel, even when I read it, I was like, man, this feels heavy, but I was like, how do I can't, there's just certain pieces that I felt like I couldn't remove because it would take away from the story. And so this is where I'm asking for, this is our opportunity as a board to restructure it so that we can satisfy both the lack of heavy board meeting feeling while also having that community connection component that we all want. And so, as was said earlier by President Craighead, that obviously all comments and opinions are well appreciated, but as I shared at the last board meeting, and I was joking with Jeff because I felt that it was a little silly that we couldn't meet and do this portion somewhere else because I just didn't feel like the board meeting was the best place for it. This is the only place where we can work together to restructure something that we'll all be using. So I appreciate everybody's comment, but this is the opportunity where it's kind of messy. We're out in public. We're talking about how we restructure it. So we'll be making edits to think about it like a paper, our first draft in front of our millions of viewers. And so all input is welcome.
So I know that we've had this now for at least a month, if not longer. So Member Lopez, do you have any specific revisions?
Well, certainly I think, those 5-10 minutes of community input is not enough. So if it's a 90-minute meeting and the goal is to engage the community, I mean, quite frankly, it should be at least half of the time.
Yeah.
And in a setting where there can be dialogue, we can hear from them. And, I was actually initially envisioning it was going to be more like a chat. Let's talk, what are your concerns? And let's listen and how can we support?
And I apologize. When I said the 5 to 10 minutes, that is how long it took me to read. I'm going to jokingly call it the preamble, right? The beginning of it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that it was only 5 or 6 minutes or 5 or 10 minutes available to the community. I think that once again, it hasn't been properly timed. So once again, we're speaking off the cuff here. But I think that with proper structure and support, we can get through not only the quantitative and qualitative data of our SFOG work, along with the introduction of how we got to this point. I think that we could probably get through that portion in the first 20 to, depending on how long-winded the board member is, 20 to 45 minutes, still leaving ample amount of time with over 45 minutes to even up to an hour for community input. And once again, it is a free time limit for community members to speak with board members. And as you read from my proposed structure, or not from my proposed structure, from our proposed structure, there will be a district representative there to address customer service issues as well. So once again, this was my first swing at it. I'd love to have any structural suggestions on how we can update the script to capture some of those values that we're talking about. Otherwise, we got long-winded folks like myself that are going to be talking for the first 10 minutes.
Well, I think one of the reasons that it needs to be this structured is because we want the meetings to be consistent across the district, so that if a community member comes to a meeting in the 5th district and then goes to a community meeting in the 3rd district, for example, those meetings will be very consistent and that everybody will hear the same information. So it's not really a town hall meeting. It's not really a everybody bring their concerns thing, because as you mentioned, that is a customer service issue. And that's why in the script, we're going to be asking for people to write down individual or specific concerns on a card, and have staff there so that we can address that. But the structure allows for us to stay on topic, and the topic is board work, and the topic is our student outcome focused governance. So
board work and district. So we're talking about District 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, specific updates. So it's an opportunity for folks from the community to hear not just the overarching 61,000 student information. This is where you can hear about updates happening not only on schools that your students attend, but potentially your child's future high school or junior high, as those types of updates will have a space within this meeting structure as well.
Yeah. And I think if we look at it in terms of not just a 90-minute meeting per district, but a 90-minute meeting over the course of the school year every other month, so that if you're a member of the 5th district and you're not satisfied with just hearing that information, you want to attend another meeting, you have another opportunity, and you have several opportunities. And this is not something that we're going to do just this school year. we are setting ourselves up to be continuing to operate in the community year after year. So it's really not a single 90-minute opportunity. There will be several opportunities for engaged community members.
Okay, just a little bit of feedback here, then maybe printing out the board goals to save some time, and then maybe swapping part 3 and 2, and allowing the community to speak, and then closing with district updates.
Now, I thought about that. I thought about having the community input piece being the second component. The only concern that I have about the swap is if I'm someone who is in attendance and I hear you say something specific about poly, but my opportunity to speak has already gone by, then unfortunately the meeting will be done, right? Because technically the district, are you saying that there should be maybe 2 community?
No, but then we would close with updates, and that would be an opportunity for you to chime in on with something else.
I'm confused. Help me out here. I'm not seeing it. So let me take a step back. So right now, the way that I proposed, or the way that I have it structured in the script, is that there's part 1, board goal status, updates, and board activities. Your suggestion is part 2 would be the community's opportunity for inputs and thoughts. Then part 3 would be District X specific updates. And are we saying then there technically would be a part 4 for additional community input and or thoughts?
But again, if we printed out the board goals, that would definitely save time and allow for more of that community engagement and
Yeah. I actually don't disagree with that. I think that structure technically works. My only fear is, now, once again, this is the messy part, right? Because it's like a workshop, and there's going to be some good ideas and some bad ideas. The only issue that I could see with the potential 2 opportunities for community input is that at that first one, if we're concerned about it feeling like a board meeting now, we'll probably have to shut people down from talking. We'll probably have to tell people like, hey, I still got to get to part 2 and part 3, so you'll have to stop with your concerns. And I don't want to do that to folks. I think that's why I saved that portion of it to the end, where I know that we'll have the largest, let's call it, room for bandwidth, while also knowing that afterwards we have an opportunity to still engage and interact and talk. And like I said, there already will be the table there for customer service. So going back to the suggestion of, let's call it a restructure, right, of the 3-part to a 4-part. I like it. I actually think that you're onto something. I just don't know how we do how do we shut down, I don't want to use the term shut down, but you know what I mean, where we would have to cut off community input so that we can get to the District 1 updates, and then we provide an opportunity for them to speak again. So I guess that's the part. Well, actually, once again, this is the messy part. As I'm sitting here talking about it, it's almost like a board meeting, but it's things that are on the agenda and not on the agenda. And that's the way that we would do it, right? So if you have a topic about something that's, and that's the way that we could structure within. Like if it's something that has to do with, let's call it district, I'm going to keep using District 5 as an example. But if we change the structure, right? Part 1, board goals and status updates. If you have any comments on the board goals and our board activities, then come up, give us your comments. Know that there's a whole second portion where it's open to any comments that you'd like to give, and that would be for the second component. Once again, that's very much like a board meeting, but that's neither here nor there. But love to hear your input.
Yeah, I think we just have to keep in mind that this is community engagement. This is an opportunity for us to hear from the community, to engage in dialogue. and also to get feedback from them directly. So I think that should be at the core of this meeting. Again, I read it and I was like, wow, I'm going to have a difficult time following this because it's so structured. And so I think, allowing for community input engagement should be, big. So if we can, just give them the copy of the board goals and then have time to engage with the community, and then we close with district updates. I think that pretty much covers what our goal.
And so I think we're saying the same thing. I want to make your comments tangible in regards to a change. So are we in agreement that we would move it to a 4-part meeting then? I'm speaking to the folks at the dais here. So first part is board goals, status, updates, and board activities. Part 2 would be community input and thoughts on our board goals and the data that we've just presented. Then the second portion, we would hop into our district-specific updates. So now we're just talking about what's happening at Jordan, what's happening at the district as a whole, what's happening at Hamilton. And now we'd open it up for a second portion of comments that if somebody felt that there was something that they wanted to bring up that was specific towards any of those campuses and or any of the programs that we have going on at our campus. Within our district.
So for clarification, engaging the community in 2 different sections.
Okay.
I'm trying to get some clarification on that, just again, keeping in mind that that's the ultimate goal.
Right.
And is that what we're doing? Just giving them more opportunity now to engage in dialogue and discussion.
Yes.
Member Otto, did you have a question or comment?
I think that what we're missing is the guardrails. And the guardrails of this are that we're all trying to have this be enough of the same so that we get out of each of the times that it's used the kind of information that's comparable and isn't just that, well, at this meeting it went this way and at this meeting it went this way. And but it has to be more simple than it is now. It's a good idea, but there's got to be some structure to it, which you're working on now. And I had my button on, if you will, early, but as I've listened to this, I think that it's just got to be simple and regular, so that at every meeting you come away with the same kind of stuff, and you're moving in that direction. And if the first one of these is in October, don't we have time to fine tune this or work on it and approve it if we need to approve it? If we need to approve it, but
that's the beauty of this meeting, because that's what it is. Yeah.
Well, you did say earlier this is like a board meeting. Well, it is a board meeting.
Yeah, we'll have to decide if we add community input or thoughts or questions as part 2, then we may need to consider adding a time limit, or we won't be able to get to the right.
Where it's open to everyone.
Yeah. And then we're going to have to monitor the questions or comments to make sure that they are addressing the, whatever we covered for part 1. And so that, that can be done. But do we all want to do that?
I hate to put a time limit on community input.
But
that's the exact opposite of why we're having that meeting.
Right.
For the structure standpoint, you're absolutely right. We'd have to. I just don't know what that looks like. So
right. Because if we don't add a time limit, then we will not get to the rest of the information, and then our meetings will not be consistent across the district, which is one of the reasons for this script and this process is to be consistent across the district. So we would have to add a time limit.
So, and how many languages are we gonna do this in?
Well, we will definitely have translators present. So let's continue with that part of the conversation. Once again, obviously, it's not the most desirable, but if we're in a position where we'll need to use a time limit for the first portion of community inputs and thoughts, once again, in the, let's call it introduction of the script, we would share with the community members that they'll have 2 opportunities to speak and give us input. One after board goals and board status update, and one after one after the district specific updates. But it doesn't change the fact that unfortunately, one will have to be capsulated and the other one won't. And if we have to capsulate the first one, then we'd need to agree on a capsulated time limit of what that piece would have to be. So what is our suggested? Once again, if we're going to go down this road of having 2 opportunities for community input, which I'm okay with. How much time are we thinking? 30 minutes, like we normally have?
I was thinking more like an hour at minimum.
For the first portion?
No, for that community engagement. I mean, and I think that we also have to keep in mind that depending on the community that we're in, the concerns are going to vary, and ultimately the goal of this is for us to come back and say, hey, this is what we've heard from District 1, from District 2, from District 3. Like, this is what the community is saying. And that's what's going to drive the work that we're continuing here at the district.
So to agree with your statement, in totality, we would create an opportunity for up to 60 minutes worth of community input. And how would that happen? Because there would be our first portion of speaking, which is the introduction and talking about the board goals and updates. Hopefully we can get through that in the first 15, 20 minutes. Then we'd have 30 minutes in that portion for any input. Once again, I guess it could be open, but regardless, then we'd hop into district-specific updates. Hopefully, once again, we can keep that to a 15 to 20-minute component, and then you add another 30 minutes for community input, totaling 60 minutes of community input and thoughts, and about 30 minutes or so of us giving updates and giving district-specific updates.
I think that's pretty reasonable. And again, keeping in mind, we'll have copies of the board goals, and we start off with those 15 minutes at the beginning, and the 15 minutes for the updates, and everything else is community engagement. It's getting input from the community.
I think that's a good plan, as long as we keep that first or part 2 community engagement, as long as we keep that focused on the information given in part 1, that community engagement only addresses that first presentation. Because again, this is not a customer service open forum. This is for this particular topic and the information we give in part 1. So the questions or comments should be directed to the information that we give at that time, and that anything else can be, can be saved until the 4th part, or the community input part, after the specific district updates.
Okay, so I need clarity now. So what you're saying then is that first part would be, so the community is asking us about the board goals. Is that what it is? Because I didn't
Yes.
get that from Mr. Miller.
They would be giving comment input on the board goals that we've provided, status updates on what's happening at their campus potentially, we'd be talking about our activities as a board, et cetera.
And then the second part would be open to just feedback. Okay.
I think that breaks up the meeting enough. I think what we need to do is, time how long it takes us to get through the preamble, as you referred to it. It seems to me if we can be concise with that, if we can focus on, we want to have time to listen to the community, then I think that can work. Are we good with adding a 30-minute window after part one? Are we good with that? Because we're all going to have to agree to having a limit.
A 30 limit, once again, when we say limit, like, that's the unfortunate maximum amount of time that we can allot, but knowing that we would share in the script that, don't worry, community, you'll still have a second opportunity to speak with us, as it'll be after part 3, which is focused on district-specific updates.
Yeah, so we're good with that then?
I think, just also for clarity and confirmation, I think that it will also be important for us to keep, let's say, for example, if we did have to cut it off, which I guess in both sides it doesn't matter if we do or don't, but if we did have to cut it at the 30-minute mark, I would want to make sure that we also kept the same order in which that next person was going to present. I wouldn't think that it would be fair for that person who wanted to share their comments to, if they were the next person in line, all of a sudden, now when the second go around for community input happens, that now all of a sudden, now they're at the back of the line. No, so we'd have to be clear, and I think that also needs to be stated in the script, that we would maintain the list so that they'd still be in the same order, in a concise order.
Yeah, okay. So are we settled on that then? Or do we have any other suggestions?
So it sounds like the next steps, Jeff confirmed, that I'll have to go into draft 2 and provide these updates, and I guess I can provide them to you, and we'll make them a part of next week's board packet.
Yeah, you get updated, and then we'll bring that one back again for final review.
Great.
Okay, so we will move on to 16.3, board membership to other committees and various organizations. So information is included as to who is currently serving on different committees. And so I'm wondering if my colleagues have any additions to that or any questions about that?
Yes, are we voting on this item tonight? Oh, so then we need a motion.
Yes, we need, yes,
Move for approval?
and discussion.
Okay, so of grave concern is a section that states, if a committee is indicated to have failed, the chair of the committee is no longer eligible to serve on the committee or future committee serving the same function for the remainder of the current term as a board member.
Well, if you're referring to the policy is, that part of the policy refers to board-created committees. And the committees that are laid out in this document are not board-created. The board did not create these committees.
Okay, but these are committees that we sit in.
Yes,
And so
we
yes.
serve on these committees, but
Yes.
the difference is that these are not board-created.
So I understand, but given that a chair's role is to facilitate and not to manage or oversee performance of committee members, doing this shifts the blame to the board member. So if you're going to say, well, this committee didn't succeed, so now for the remainder of your term, you can't sit on that committee. So we are facilitating. We are not overseeing, giving direction. And so I think that's problematic. I need to remind you that the district is tasked with executing while board members provide direction. And so if we're going to vote on this and this is going to stay, my vote will reflect that, including this policy in the policy manual, we'll put the blame on the board member, of the committee instead of the district, and this is not how we should operate.
Well, that's not how we're operating, because that part of the policy refers to a committee that was created by the board. There's another part of the policy that refers to committees that board members serve on that are not created by the board. So all the committees listed here in this document are not created by the board, and so there's no risk of failure, there's no risk of a board member not being able to serve on these committees because they're not created by the board.
So then why do we have them attached to this?
The reason we have these attached is so that we can be completely transparent, so that when we passed our bylaws, what we're saying is these are the rules and the values that we hold as a board, that we will hold ourselves accountable to the public, that we will conduct our business in public in a transparent way. And this shows that we also serve, in addition to serving on this board, we serve on community committees, we serve on, it's listed here, CSBA, California School Board Association. This board did not create the California School Board Association.
Right. So
yes, and so that part of the policy does not cover the committee work or being a member of that organization.
So can you tell me which committees we're talking about then? Because by giving it to us the way that it was given, there was definitely, at least for me, that assumption that these are the committees we're talking about. So which committees then is this referring to?
If you're asking about a board-created committee, we don't currently have a board-created committee.
So we're going to put something in the policy for something we don't have yet, just in the event we create a committee?
Yes, the bylaws were created and adopted by this board, not just for this current day, but future days as well.
So just for clarification, the bylaw was included for context. Mr. Rial included it as backup document just because there was a discussion in previous meetings about the advisory groups and membership and on things that you represent in the district and outside the district. So we've collected all of those, but the bylaw isn't up for action tonight. It's making transparent the membership in advisory groups and other service, such as California School Boards Association and Council of Great City Schools, so that if any board member wants to step out of that role, wants to step into that role, that we're actually bringing it back because of the bylaw that you approved on May 19th.
Right, and also there were questions by this board regarding who serves on what committee, who represents this board and this district in different organizations. Yeah. And so this is an attempt to keep our business transparent so everybody can see what we're doing. And that's why we're voting on this, and that's why I asked if there are any questions about membership in these groups or committees that maybe my colleagues would also like to serve on.
So Dr. Baker, would you maybe give me a committee or if that we currently have or have had in the past that where this would fall on, where a board member sits on that committee fails, that board member can no longer, for their term as a board member, be a part of a committee?
So I think President Craig had said there are currently, and I have not been aware of board commissioned committees during my tenure as superintendent. So what's before you are only things that have been requested either by myself or other staff functions, such as the Wellness Council that has a board member representing the board. So I'm not aware of any that exist now or have existed in the last 5 years that the board has commissioned its own committees. These are all represented in the bylaw, the second area, board membership to other committees and various organizations. And then what's before you on page 109 and through 110 are those existing staff recommendations or other things that board members serve on that are not board commission committees.
So we would be voting on, in the event in the future, we,
Well, so
committee is
the
formed.
bylaw already exists, so you don't have to vote on that tonight. These are actually, you asked, and I collected on behalf of the board, all of the ways that board members serve on things like page 10, well, not like, on page 109 and 110. These are all the ways that board members currently serve in assignments. But the bylaw isn't up for discussion tonight. It's really, these are represented in that second part of the bylaw, but the board asked this to be brought back for approval because of the bylaw that now exists. The board wanted authority to say, make transparent the places that are of service, are on staff committees, on representation outside of the district. You all wanted to approve it based on the bylaw. So I collected that from board members and spoke about it with each of you where you serve and brought this back to be really transparent to the public about where you all serve. But these are not board commissioned committees. So there's two sections of that bylaw that was approved in May. One is board committees. That's what I'm not aware of. There aren't any current board committees. This represents membership to other committees and various organizations, the second part of the bylaw.
Okay, so for clarification, we're gonna vote on something that we don't have committees currently, so it doesn't apply to the current committees that have not been formed by the board.
So you're actually only voting for action on the things that are on page 109 and 110, which only represent other committees and various organizations.
Non-board committees.
They're not commissioned by the board. So there's two sections of that bylaw. None of these are represented in that first section. They're not commissioned by the board itself. They're board members representing the board inside the district and or externally as advisement to the superintendent or as participants on behalf of the board. And you all asked this to be brought back so that everyone would know who's serving on what, and you know, that's what this represents. So you're voting on that, to accept that, not anything related to voting on the bylaw.
In the interest of time, what we might do is think about agendizing this board bylaw 2025, which talks about something that I worry about a little bit now that I look at it, which is the phrase that Ms. Lopez is pointing out, which says the committee is indicated to have failed. I'm not sure what that means. The chair of the committee is no longer eligible to serve on that committee or future committees serving the same function or the remainder of the current term as a board member. I don't know about that. And,
Okay,
but
can
that's not
I-
before, wait, can I finish? But that's not before us tonight. And so if we want to do that, we can do that in the future. All we're trying to do tonight is to say on page 109 and 110, that's what currently exists. If we want to change that, we can change that, but I think that's all we got right now, and then this item would be over.
Okay.
Is that fair,
What I'm
Jeff?
going to do is I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to start with Member Miller, and I'm going to say, Member Miller, are you okay with this list? Are there any other organizations you'd like to represent, or are you interested in being on a different committee? Are you fine with the way it is here?
So I'm a part of the Superintendent's Workforce Committee, and I'm a part of the SFOG implementation team, and I'm comfortable with both.
Thank you. Member Otto, are you fine with how
Yes.
you are? Member Lopez? Okay. I believe we're ready to vote on this item,
I think we just did.
Oh, well, I do want to just, for legal counsel, just for clarification, we are voting on item 16.3, but we are not voting on
the bylaw that we
the,
already
that
adopted.
bylaw that I pointed out and Mr. Otto did as well. with
Yes.
the-
Yes, yes, we're not.
Absolutely, you're not voting on that.
Okay.
And just for point of clarification, Dr. Baker explained very well in terms of what you're doing tonight. Just for context related to the first portion of that board bylaw, the reason that was put in place as part of your bylaws is in the event that the board does create an ad hoc committee that's designed to address a specific issue for the board, and that committee then gets a responsibility for that specific issue. They bring their recommendation back to the full board for authorization or for vote. If my understanding of the purpose of that first language, if they've been commissioned or tasked with a committee that does not come back with a recommendation for the board, the language that's included there is that if the board creates another committee to serve that same function, that same specific issue, the intent would be that somebody else would chair that. That's the intent of the language there. If the first committee failed and the board wanted that task to continue, another committee would be appointed to complete that. That's the purpose for that.
So can we, I am going to ask my colleagues up here if we can, in the next meeting, revise that particular bylaw, that particular section, because I think it is problematic that a board member may not be able to participate in a committee because the outcome of that committee wasn't the result that we wanted. And just keeping in mind that we're there to facilitate. We're not there to tell the those in the committee what to do.
Just for clarification, that is specific to a committee created of board members. You could have
By
two
the
board
board.
members, 3 board members in the committee.
By the board.
Not outside members, it's the board committee.
But why are we even talking about this? It's not before us. I mean, if we want to agendize it, then it's an agenda item. Then we can talk about it. But otherwise, we can spend 30 minutes talking about something that's not on the agenda.
Well, Mr. Otto, I believe you brought it up.
On purpose. Yeah. And my comment was, yes, it's not.
Yes, it's not.
So the vote before us is item 16.3, and I'm going to call for the vote. So, Mr. Riel?
What's the motion?
To move for approval as presented.
On the committee.
On these committees as presented, yes.
Okay.
Okay, Member Lopez.
In that case, for the committees, aye.
Vice President Otto.
With this before us, 109, 110, aye.
Thank you for the clarification. President Craighead.
Aye.
And Member Miller.
Aye.
Passes 4-0.
And,
Thank you.
and the record should reflect that the student board member left right before this, so that she didn't want to be any part of this.
Next on the agenda is item 16.4, meeting date change. And the reason for this is because when we looked at the calendar for December, we saw that we are scheduled to have a board meeting on Wednesday, December 3rd, which is right after the Thanksgiving holiday, and that doesn't give staff a lot of time to prepare for the meeting. It also conflicts with the annual CSBA conference. This year it's held in Sacramento, and so Mr. Otto and myself would not be able to attend that conference. It's only once a year, and we are delegates and represent the district. So before us is a recommendation to change the date from our December 3rd meeting to December 10th. Also, on our calendar was December 12th, which is the reorganization meeting. The 12th is a Friday in December. Last year, we decided to continue on with our Friday reorganization meeting because we had board members that were being sworn in and it was a special occasion. This year, we don't have anybody who's going to be sworn in. The only item on the agenda for a Friday evening in December at 5 o'clock would be the reorganization. And so the recommendation is that we do that on the 10th as we move the December 3rd meeting to the 10th, including the reorganization. And that is the item before us. Do we have a motion?
Move for approval.
Any discussion?
Yes, I think that changing the meeting date from the 3rd to the 10th and holding 2 consecutive Wednesday meetings can cause confusion, unnecessary confusion to the public. And then also the proposed board meeting dates for the school year include a number of workshops to be held during the week in the mornings. Scheduling workshops during weekday mornings restricts participation from like essential voices in the community, which are our educators, our working parents, and students. So I think we should leave what we have in December, so we don't have the 2 consecutive Wednesdays and have the quick Friday, and then really consider those workshops on weekends. And if that doesn't change, then my vote will reflect that.
Dr. Baker, do we have a workshop scheduled in December?
We do not. I think Board Member Lopez is referring to the calendar that's attached for information that includes all of the previously approved meetings for this year, I believe.
Okay, we did that back in April. So tonight's vote does not include anything about workshops?
But it includes a change of the December dates.
Yes, that's what we're voting on, changing the December dates, not anything about workshops. I just want to be clear about that.
Yes, I just wanted to also, again, I know I tend to do this, but that reminder that when we have morning workshops, it really limits that participation from our stakeholders. So I know we're voting on the December, moving the December 3rd through the December 10th date.
I'd like to keep the discussion focused on the motion. If we could focus on the motion, take one thing at a time.
Absolutely, Board Member President Craighead, but because it is in the documents we received, that's why I bring it up.
Okay. So the motion before us is that we move the December 3rd meeting to December 10th and the December 12th meeting be eliminated because that one item can be included in the December 10th meeting. Is there any further discussion? If not, then we'll call for the vote. Mr. Rail, I'll have you take a roll call. Oh, no?
I just had one other comment. As I hear a little bit about what Member Lopez is saying, and I was just curious, just from a structure standpoint, is there a reason why we only do one meeting in January instead of 2? Nothing in particular?
Yeah, there's not I mean, we could do one meeting every month, actually.
Right.
So the reason is that's the cadence of which our business moves through
Right.
the board as the business meeting of the board.
Correct.
And we prepare around
Right.
that.
Yeah, the reason why I bring that up is because the piece that I know will be hard on your team, will be hard on everybody involved because it's right next to the holiday, is doing a meeting in regards to what we're proposing right now. That would be December 10th and then December 17th. That is just days before people leave for Christmas. That is just days before our kids are going to be out of school. And then our next meeting isn't until January, where ironically in that month, different from a lot of our other months, we only have one meeting. So my thoughts would be in regards to, in contrast to having 10th, 17th, so a back-to-back week of meetings, if there was a way, potentially, of restructuring the information that's going to be shared that was scheduled for December 17th to potentially the first half of January, and then doing another meeting on the second half of January. I don't know if this is the proper time to have that discussion. I think that right now, we just want to make sure that we can clear up the December 10th component, which I agree with, but if we're talking about proposals on making things simpler if the proposal is based on the principle of making things simpler for staff and the board in particular, I think that suggestion could also parlay some changes in January.
I believe one of the reasons that we only meet once in January is because our board meetings are scheduled for the first and third Wednesdays of the month, and the third Wednesday in January is generally when we're still on break. We are still on that winter break, and I think that's one of the reasons, because we're going to run into this in January.
Right.
With the dates. No, we won't run it. Oh, we will. And so whether we have that issue in December, back-to-back meetings, or January, we're still going to have the issue of back-to-back meetings, because of the winter break, that type of thing.
Once again, a bunch of good ideas and a bunch of bad ones. All right.
Okay. I think we're ready.
No.
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And we are at reports and announcements for board members. So we will start with Member Miller.
All right. Well, first off, we already talked about this, but I wanted to make sure that I personally congratulated all of the hard work that had to go into the first day of school. I recognize that it is just a heavy lift from an HR perspective, from a curriculum perspective, from a cleanliness perspective. Parents, it's a whole lot of work going out there doing the first day school shopping and everything that comes with that. It's just a lot of work for everybody to get that first day started. And so I wanted to congratulate everyone who took a part in making sure that our district had a very successful day, from the admin team to the teachers to our principals, all the way down to our parents, and all the beautiful littles that were there on our first day. I had an opportunity to visit both Lakewood and my daughter's school, and I will say it was beautiful. I mean, you could tell that there were thousands of young people just excited to be back in our campuses. And you had parents who you knew from the looks at their faces. Some of them were crying at the elementary school, but all things considered, they were excited to see their children being supported by our district. And so, once again, big kudos to all parties that make the first day of school happen, as it's one of my favorite days of the year when it comes to being in this position. Folks that know me personally know I had a lot going on that first day, but we made it. All things considered, it was a really, really good day. So congratulations, everyone. Second, I talked already about this, but I wanted to highlight this as well, is that when it comes to getting prepared for the first day of school, there are a number of community organizations that put together back to school programming to support our district and support our families. I saw firsthand how expensive it is to send a young lady back to school on the first day, as she wanted her hair braided and she wanted these new pretty pink Jordans, and wanted to make sure she had a fresh white shirt. All of those things can be pretty costly. And I've been very blessed to be able to afford those resources for my daughter. But there are a number of families in our district, my district in particular, that maybe haven't been as fortunate. But yet there are great organizations like Assistance League or District 8 and their big backpack giveaway, Project XLB, and one that I'm a big supporter of, and he's my buddy from a long time. His name's DJ Ra. Don't worry about it. I know his name sounds a little, but Rakeem Addison, his group, the Ra Foundation, hosts a really big backpack giveaway over at Los Cerritos Park. And so all of those opportunities to support our families, to relieve some of the financial stresses for the first day of school, I wanted to also give them a big kudos and thank you to supporting our families, as I know how important that is for them. Next, there's just a couple of, well, one big update in particular is Sankofa Parent Village is changing locations just slightly, still in Long Beach, but they'll be having their meeting over at the TRC, which is in my district, right down the street from my house, which is exciting. And that's on, I want to make sure I got this right. It's September 9th at 5:30? September 8th at 5:30. My apologies. September 8th at 5:30. First one of the year, but obviously a big one. I shared earlier about how important the CAC community was to me when I first was informed about my daughter's diagnosis, and how they acted as a community to support some of the questions that I had, given me some insight on how to support my daughter to make her more successful as she continues to grow into this beautiful young lady. I like to say that the Sankofa Parent Village does the same thing for our Black families. As we've seen statistically that our Black students are a little bit over 13%, right? 13% of our community, but in the same token, we're talking about a number of students and families and parents that have felt ostracized or forgotten or unloved by systems like the Long Beach Unified School District, not just saying that it is the Long Beach Unified School District. And so the Sankofa Parent Village does a great job of mending those relationships while also providing great information on how to best support your little through the system. And so we've already given that team a big kudos, but from Dr. Pam Lovett to Alyssa Taylor Stewart to Norma Spencer, all of them working really, really hard to execute that work. And so congratulations to them. That'll be the end of my report.
Thank you. Vice President Otto.
I want to congratulate the staff, especially the senior staff, for the opening of the school year. I looked at that agenda item earlier today and I thought, I don't know what that is, but when I heard everything that had gone on and all the planning and the way it was executed, I was just extremely impressed, and I think we've gotten off to a great start for the school year. A lot of things I did not know because it just isn't out there, but that I heard about tonight was great. And I thought the presentation of using the senior staff to do was really good. I was at Lakewood for the opening of school. I think that's a great, being at a school, whether it's Lakewood or Stevens or whatever, moving it around is really a good idea. I went to a couple of schools. There wasn't a lot of time, and then I had to be on the west side in the afternoon, so I wasn't able to do more. But I think we're off to a very, very good start of this school year. There's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of hard work that we're doing. So that's my report.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, did you want to add something now?
Yes. Yeah, I'm fine with that. There were two things that I missed that I'd be remiss if I didn't celebrate these, well, or talk about these two things. One was obviously our summers are very, very busy. I just talked about a number of community activities that happened, especially centered around like our back to school efforts. But one of the things that was the most humbling, and it really was centered around a lot of the work that we did 4 years ago, was community engagement. The Long Beach Unified School District was present and proud from our BSC work to just having a Long Beach presence. I saw it all summer. And so I wanted to applaud our entire team for being present at Juneteenth and being present at the Pride Parade. And we're making sure that our representation of our community and our district is palpable. And I can remember 4 years ago us having conversations about how do we get more engaged, how do we get more involved. And I saw most recently at the Demo Chicks Breaking Barriers Gala, the servers at the event were young people from Browning High School. They were working in collaboration with some efforts assisted by Dr. Romant, but Chef Steph, my friend. And so I just going to these community events and seeing them present. I've seen Chef Steph and her team at a number of District 8 events. I've been very, very proud and humbled at our continued growth of our community presence. But I remember that this was a frustrating conversation for us around 4 years ago. And so as we continue to grow and continue to work to be even more engaged in our community, I'd be remiss if I didn't give us our flowers as we continue to do this work. And then last but not least, and then this is kind of off topic here, but this was more of a reminder to our millions of viewers, is that obviously there's a lot of work that happens here. There's a lot of moving parts. There are thousands of staff members, over 6,100 students in our campuses, and there's a lot of effort to make the process, to make the district the success that it is. But I don't ever want us to lose sight of our personal values and who we are as human beings. Sometimes I think that we can get so caught up in the what and we lose sight of the why, right? And so I'm going to tease a little bit here. My friend, Dr. Jill Baker, I tease her sometimes about finding some time to take a personal break, to make sure you take care of yourself. You can't be the best version of a superintendent without being the best version of Jill. And as I've seen in my family, in my network of friends, and some of my previous colleagues, people losing their daughter this week, people losing their significant other this week. It just was a quick reminder of like making sure that you spend those quality times, getting that opportunity to, not losing sight of your values in regards to being there for your loved ones and spending that quality time. So I just ask, as we continue to do the what, right? And we talked about a lot of what that's going in to this work, not losing sight of the why. So finding time to, and the why is not only because we love this district, but because we love our loved ones as well. And so it's making sure you spend some time with those folks as well, as this work can't be done without.
So I'm going to cut you off so that we can get to that part about spending time. Everybody. No. Member Lopez.
Okay, I'll try to be brief. So I had the pleasure of attending the first day of school at Lakewood High School, attending the ribbon cutting ceremony for the new football field at Jordan High, and Jordan High's first football game of the season. I do have to say that I absolutely love the blue field at Jordan, and last Thursday's game was just amazing. It was great seeing Dr. Baker, Mr. Samuels, and so many other staff members at the game. And all these events showcase the pride, the spirit, and the energy that make our schools, the community, so special. And on a whole nother note, students, you've made it through your first week of school. I just want you to know that as you move forward, I want you not to forget that your voice matters. You matter. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Know that you are capable. Know that you have the strength, the intelligence, and the determination to master new skills and reach your goals. And to our educators, thank you for creating spaces where students feel safe to wonder, to ask questions, and to succeed. Your dedication, your patience, and your passion have already begun making a difference. Good luck to you all this school year. Please know that you are seen, you are valued, and you are making a lasting impact. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to start out by congratulating our Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Operations, who's, I don't think he's here anymore. He was here earlier, though, David Miranda, because he graduated from the Yale School of Management's prestigious Masters in Public Education Management program last month, and that was a culmination of a 14-month leadership journey. So congratulations to our Mr. Miranda. And then also in the summer, I was able to attend the Head Start Back to School event, and that was for teachers, Head Start teachers and staff. And Head Start is celebrating the 60th anniversary this year, and there was a keynote speaker, former regional director, Cynthia Yao, and she came and spoke to our group. She was so positive, motivating, inspirational, and she had just been let go of her job, not 2-3 weeks at the let go of her job, like 3 weeks prior to her speaking at this event. And she continued and spoke at this event. The whole regional office of Head Start was closed. So the director, Cynthia Yao, 25 years experience, everybody else in the office, gone. But I just want to say that she did a great job. She spoke highly of the program. She conducted this activity where she was asking people to stand up if they had been a Head Start teacher for more than 5 years, 10 years. We had people standing, so many people standing. The room was huge, hundreds of people. I'm looking at Mr. Moskowitz because he was there also. Hundreds of people in this room. There were so many people standing, even when she got to the 30-year mark. She was amazed at the long tenure of our teachers and assistants, and remarked on how wonderful our retention is. And you could tell there were a few teachers that told a little bit about their story in Head Start, and you can tell that our Head Start people are very committed to the work, and their hearts are in it. It's wonderful. And then I also traveled uptown for the ribbon cutting at the Jordan Field. It is blue. The field is a bright blue. It is beautiful. And so that was a wonderful event. Thank you for the invitation. And then also, first day at Lakewood High School, very celebratory. Their media, as you know, we talked about earlier, there were Channel 2, Channel 5, Channel 7. At one point, when we went over to the Aquatic Center, which, by the way, is stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Just, when you walk into that space, you walk into the doors, and it's not just a pool. There's a, Jumbotron thing, stadium, ticket booth, laundry room, locker room, so much involved. It's very impressive. But at one point, I believe it was Channel 5 interviewed one of our Lakewood students. I think her name was Ariana. Be Adriana, but I think it was Ariana. And she had mentioned to the Channel 5 anchor person that was there, or, field, I don't know what her title was. But she had mentioned that she watches the Channel 5 news, and she'd love to be on TV. And so they made sure that when she got out of the pool, they interviewed her. It's online, you can see it. She wasn't prepared to speak. She didn't have any questions ahead of time. She just spoke off the cuff, and she was such a wonderful representative of not just Lakewood High School, but our district. Intelligent, smart, and very fun and energetic. So they picked a really good student to interview. And I think that's all I have. Welcome back, everybody. New school year. It's like a Happy New Year for us. But Dr. Baker.
Thank you. I'll close us out with a little bit more celebration and then a few announcements for things that are coming up in the next few weeks. So first of all, I want to recognize Bernie, Lafayette, Powell, Webster, Riley, and Willard, who recently were honored by a California organization, California PBIS, with medals for their positive behavior intervention systems that are taking place at their school. A really nice feature for our schools to be acknowledged for their good work. I got to 13 schools last week and just want to amplify the joy and relationship building from littles to our seniors, what they were experiencing, circling up to get to know each other in the quad at Wilson, to our little TK who we're just proud to be 4 and have new tennis shoes on.
Yeah.
And I too love the start of school. It is full of possibilities of what will become of the year.
Yeah.
I just love that. It was wonderful to be at the inaugural game on the blue field, standing with Ms. Lopez and Mr. Lopez and staff from Jordan who were so proud. And it was a very well attended game. The students just continue to say how excited they are about what they're experiencing at their school, and a renaissance of sorts at Jordan High School. The pool has space dug out already, so we will watch that emerge as well. I saw 2 poly twins come up on the screen there, so let's give a shout out to poly entrepreneurs who are brothers Chaz and Chase, who for a summer project decided that they were going to open Glizzy Street. And they are a sensation on the internet. Their business continues. There's this images of them serving food to the Poly High School staff from a business that they developed at their family's gas station that took off this summer, and they have thousands of internet followers and those who come out to Lizzie Street. So wonderful to have these 2 amazing young men at Poly High School. Last I heard Mr. Kalanick acknowledge 95-point-something% attendance. And I'm going to challenge our system to keep it up. It is so important for our schools, for our students to be in school, to be engaged, and our teachers and staff are working so hard to make education wonderful for them, but we need them to be here. So we're contemplating some awards, perhaps directly to students for good attendance and to schools. And so just want to continue to encourage our families and our students to be in school where learning is happening and where there are wonderful activities during the school day as well as after the school day, as we've heard. And then a few things just to tell our community to be on the lookout for. First of all, our website has a calendar running on the front page. There are all kinds of kickoffs to committees and parent engagement opportunities, including Sankofa Parent Village opening on September 8th, which was mentioned. The CAC will have its first meeting on the 10th. That is, the whole schedule for CAC is on the CAC's webpage on our district website. And then back to school nights for most schools, not every school, some have a day that is different, but most schools, elementary on September 16th, our middle schools on September 18th, and our high schools on September 30th coming up. And then lastly, we are about to kick off the communication about the 2nd annual Latino Heritage Celebration. We'll proudly celebrate culture, food, student performances on September 27th, returning to Cabrillo High School from 10 to 1 o'clock. So 2nd annual, hope to see all of you and our wonderful community out to celebrate Latino Heritage Celebration. And with that in mind, thank you for the time tonight.
Thank you. And that concludes the business of tonight's meeting. So without objection, we will adjourn, and our next regular business meeting will be held on September 17th. Thank you, everyone, and good night.